George Parr, you are a senior political advisor at 10 Downing Street. And I'd like to talk about the government's policy on asylum and immigration.
Now, just let me stop you there. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, is there a problem here?
No, it's just that when you say the words immigration and asylum, and everyone jumps to the conclusion that the government just wants to make it more and more difficult for black people to enter this country.
Well, yes, I realise that it's not quite as simple as that.
Yes, it is. But we don't really want to give that impression.
No, I think, well, because Mr. Lilly has announced measures to restrict benefit to asylum seekers, and Mr. Howard has announced a whole new asylum and immigration bill, which will come up in the Queen's speech.
Yes, and part of that bill will be to announce a list of countries from which applications for political asylum will not be entertained.
The so-called white list.
That's right.
Of countries, yes.
Yes. This will be a list of countries that we regard as being so safe and so nice to live in,
yes,
that people would be out of their minds to want to leave it.
Or something like New Zealand or somewhere like that, you mean?
Yes.
The curious thing is that the rumours have been that actually three of the countries on the list would be Nigeria. Sri Lanka, and possibly Algeria.
Algeria, yes.
Yes, and not New Zealand. I mean, why isn't New Zealand on the list?
Well, it would be pointless, wouldn't it? Because, as far as I know, there's never been an application for political asylum from
New Zealand.
No.
On the other hand, last year there were 7,685 applications from the three countries I mentioned.
Yes.
And the Home Office is in effect saying that these three countries are as safe as New Zealand.
Yes, it's very odd.
Yes, it's curious, yes.
But then again, at the policy unit at number 10, we do have a saying.
You have a saying? What is it?
It takes all sorts to make a world.
Right. Well, that's given me something to think about. But isn't there a chance that this may appear to be discriminatory against people from these three countries, Nigeria and Sri Lanka and Algeria?
Absolutely not.
Oh, sorry.
No. It shouldn't be thought in any way that this is a blacklist.
No.
I mean, that's why we called it a whitelist.
Yes.
I mean, if we called it a blacklist, there might be certain
racial
overtones
of
race.
Yes,
but in any case, I mean, Algerians aren't black, are they?
They're not black. No.
But then one could hardly call it the swarthy with a big bushy moustache.
So Peter Lilly is not going to take away all the benefits, is he, from asylum seekers?
No, asylum seekers will get some benefit from the moment when they arrive to the moment when their application is refused by the Department of Immigration.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after that...
They can appeal.
They can appeal.
Against that?
Yes. And usually the appeal takes sort of 18 months, that sort of time.
Yes.
In which time, of course, they don't get any benefit.
They don't get any benefit, and they're not allowed to work.
They're not allowed to work.
It makes it rather difficult then for them to pursue their appeal. I mean, they've got no money to spend on legal fees or kebabs or whatever it is that they eat.
Well, they should have thought of that before, shouldn't they? They should have provided themselves with kebabs. Or whatever.
Yes, on their way, because they can, and in fact you are encouraging them to pursue their appeals from the country which they left.
Absolutely, they don't have to appeal from within this country.
No. So, I mean, somebody who's come out of a prison in Nigeria and has got over here and has applied for political asylum has been turned down. And
they're perfectly free to go back.
They can go back and say yes to the hellhole which they've left, and say, and where they'll be welcomed with open arms.
Yes, and they can proceed with their appeals from within, in this case, Nigeria.
Yes.
And of course, this is the acid test, because if we don't hear from them again, this automatically means that they've changed their minds about political asylum.
And they think Nigeria is a really good
land
place to
flowing
live.
with milk
Yes.
and bananas.
Or, of course, they could be dead.
Yes, but either way, it's a saving to the taxpayer, isn't it?
Yes, that's perfectly true. But they're still allowed to, a man in a Lagos prison cell can still write to the Home Secretary.
Oh, yes.
You're saying dear Home Secretary, please excuse the wobbling writing, but the cigarette ends attached to the genitals are making my normal copper plate rather difficult to sustain. So, something like that. But if I could just go on, Michael Howard himself at the Tory party conference said, and I think I'm quoting from him here, he said, "Nothing we do to control immigration will be racist."
That's right. That's right.
But isn't there a danger that this might appear?
No, because in the same speech he said that Britain should be proud of their record on race relations, and good race relations should go hand in hand with a firm immigration policy.
So, in other words, he means that the fewer people who are let in who are I'm looking for a euphemism for dark-skinned here. Well, just call it a euphemism.
A euphemism, yes.
Who are euphemisms. The fewer,
the fewer
euphemisms who are let in, the fewer, by definition, the fewer potential victims of racial violence there will be.
Prevention is better than cure, isn't it?
So this, in fact, is an anti-racist policy.
It's an anti-racist policy by a government which is by no means racist. I mean, no one could accuse the Prime Minister of being a racist.
No.
Or Michael Howard.
No, certainly not. No, after all, no, his grandparents were Lithuanian immigrants.
But they weren't black, were they?
Not that
makes
any
difference at all.
At all, no.
So what you're probably wondering is that if the basis of this policy isn't racism,
yes, and you're not going to save all that amount of money.
No.
I mean, what is the basis?
Well, the basis of it is that the Prime Minister believes that there are enough racist bigots in the country to swing the next general election. I mean,
after all,
that's democracy, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And Mr. Andrew Lansley, who was until I think this month the Director of Research at Conservative Central Office, wrote an article in September in which he did say that immigration was used successfully by the Conservatives in the 1992 general election, and, to use his own phrase, played well in the tabloids.
Yes, what we think, you see, is that there are enough Sun readers who have been used to voting for the Conservatives, who have bought their own council houses and are having a really, really tough time at the moment.
Yes.
And they don't want things to get worse by having lots of black people come into this country and take the poorly paid part-time jobs that their wives are entitled to.
Exactly. So I mean, you think this is the right policy there? I mean, this is the right idea?
Oh, yes, it is, absolutely. It's our idea. Well, it isn't our idea. In fact.
Oh, really?
No, it isn't, in fact. No, it's a European idea.
Oh, is it?
Yes, there was a meeting on the 23rd of September last when the Council of Justice Ministers met, and Mr. Howard was very highly pressured to adopt these immigration measures, especially the idea of a list of
safe countries.
Yes,
So this is actually pressure from Europe. Now,
yes.
I mean, I don't understand why the government haven't stressed that point. After all, it would take away some of the opprobrium, which might mistakenly...
Yes, but I mean, the Home Secretary simply couldn't stand up in front of the Tory conference and say, this is our immigration policy, but it's all the idea of Brussels.
Because the conference would hate that.
They would absolutely hate it.
But they don't mind saying keep the ning dogs out of the country. Sorry, euphemism, sorry.
Keep the euphemism out of the country, because then that becomes a British policy, and we can be proud of it.
Yes. Racism should be British racism.
Absolutely. Yes. You don't put the boot in for Brussels.
No. Where does the Prime Minister himself personally stand?
Well, of course, this isn't a personal responsibility of the Prime Minister. It's a departmental matter. But he has a duty, of course, as Prime Minister, to delegate racism and xenophobia
to his ministers.
Yes, because his first duty is to appear to be a very nice man and stay on as Prime Minister for as long as possible.
George Parr, thank you very much for coming to talk.